Hey, what's up, fam? Thank y'all for tuning in once again. As always, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit that notification button so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. Right now we're gonna talk about Tyler Perry. He said something that a lot of people didn't like, and I had to go back and read it. I had to read it, sit on it for a couple of days, go back and look at it again, because I didn't know how I really felt about it. Because I understand what he was saying. I think I don't like more that where he said it and who he was talking to and who all heard it. You know how we used to do in our community at home, sending the Black Americans is we can say stuff at the house, but you don't go out and say it in public. You remember how they used to have talk about the chitlin circuit and stuff in comedy, where you can tell jokes around each other, but then you can't say the same thing around white people, or kind of like rap music when it first started, or cats using the N-word. You can, you call each other the N-word all day. But when you got around white folk, you didn't use that word, or you got around grown folks either. You didn't, what I'm saying? It's just certain things you didn't say around certain people. So when I saw this article, I was like, dang, I get what he's saying. I'm gonna explain to you what I'm talking about, but I just don't like where he said it. So let's get into it. This is from yahoo.com. It said, or Deadline, it said, Tyler Perry talks diversity, push concerns. I don't want to have black people in seats they were not ready for. And when I first heard that, I'm like, damn, that's kind of jacked up, because the same people you talking to, them folk, how many jobs have you seen out there have people gotten because of who they know, not what they know? That's one thing I tell my kids. It's like, it ain't who you know, it's what you know. I mean, it ain't what you know, it's who you know. If you know the right person, you can get in any spot. The key is getting in there and not embarrassing folk. Years ago, I used to work at a warehouse job. I was a good worker. Came to work every day. Didn't miss. Took my vacation when needed. This, that, and the third. Got them little piss ass raises. All this kind of stuff. I put on 2 people at this place. They said, hey, can you give me a job? I said, oh yeah. Just go fill out this application. I get you in. You know what I'm saying? They found the application. Actually, 3 people. Get an application, go in, boom, boom, boom. They got a job. None of them last past maybe 3 months. They just had a work ethic that I had. So it was like, so mentally, they weren't ready for the job. They know it was young. No, well, actually, 2 of them was young. One of them, they wouldn't let her keep the job because she was related to one of the guys that I had got hired on before. And she lied on the application, something like that. Or was it? No, okay, that was it. So anyway, I understand that part. Let's get back to the story. Tyler Perry expressed his excitement over the recent push for diversity in the film and business at a Toronto industry keynote on Sunday, but added the drive would only succeed if it was accompanied by education, training, and time to gain experience. I understand that. I get it. I'm with you 100% on that. Let's keep going. The director, who has blazed a trail throughout his career in enlarging the space for black stories and talent on the small and big screen, is at Toronto for the world premiere of his new film, A Jazzman's Blues, ahead of its release on Netflix on September 23rd. I've never really been a big Tyler Perry fan or Madea fan. I think I've seen a couple of his movies, but years ago. But I mean, hey, I ain't knocking the dude, because the dude, I mean, hell, people watch it. A lot of people watch his stuff. He's making good money off of it, so all power to him. More power to him. Hell, rather for him to do that in Atlanta than to be out there killing folks and jacking folks and getting indictments, RICO charges. A labor of love for Tyler Perry that has been 27 years in the making. I was talking about, okay. The drama stars emerging talents Joshua Boone and Soleil Pfeiffer as star-crossed lovers in the 1940s Louisiana, whose relationship is thwarted by race laws of the time. Okay, 27 years, more like 127 years in the making. It's among a raft of features at the TIFF this year, driven by black talent and stories, including fiction features The Woman King, which I ain't going to go see. You can go, everybody knows why. The Inspection and documentary Sydney and the Dear Mama, among others. Quiz on how he viewed this moment in history for black creators. Perry said, let me be very careful on how I say this. Be diplomatic. I'm extremely excited for what's happened with the diversity and the choices and opportunities that we're seeing for black people for the first time. Is amazing. But I worry because there's such a push for diversity and push for hiring people of color that I found situations that there are people being pushed into seats that they're not ready for, he said. He said, what he said, Tyler Perry Studios, we train so many people. We brought people in and they do an amazing job. But as soon as people are trained and they know the job, they're snatched up to go to some bigger production, which is fine. Because if you want to find people who know their job, if they can make it at my studio, then they can make it anywhere. He continued, I do not want to have black people in seats that we're not ready for and then have people that are not black that were moved out of seats. If we didn't get qualifications, the teaching or the education to get there, then how are we giving the seat so quickly? Again, it's not what you know, it's who you know. That's what it's about. So let me give you an example. You hear people all the time, and I'm sure you know, in your circle, first thing that we'll say is that we're not going to hire anybody, no black Americans, because they're all trying to get a hookup. They're all trying to overcharge. They're not doing a good job, but they always want you to support black. I'll be the first one to say I'm not going to say I won't hire anybody black to do anything. But what does have to happen is, yes, I want to see your portfolio. You may be the greatest plumber, painter, mechanic, videographer, whatever in the world. But I have to see your credentials because it's not your fault. It's the fault of the dude that came before you. Prime example, my sprinkler system in my house a couple years back had a leak. The brother told me about a brother that he knew who did work on his sprinkler system. Gave me his number. I called him. He come out, got a little bitty little car, regular little car, him and his wife, I guess. And he comes, doesn't look, just in like looking like he just got done working in a swamp, really. And he goes and, checks out my sprinklers. Oh yeah, I can do this, fix that, blah, blah, blah. Fine, A job that don't let me beat myself. He says what he can do, how much it's gonna charge, so you give him the money. He goes and supposedly fix it, but then he sees something else. Gonna need a little more money. Give him the money. Then he goes out and again, he needs something. Now what it was is, like, I had a leak and a couple of my zones were out. By the time the end of the week, now he's been working on my yard for a week, every day, coming over at night. And I'm like, this man been on here too long. He ain't fixed nothing. Things looking worse. Yard looking like a mess. Then he comes back and say, man, look, I got this together, but hey, you need this and this done too. I'm like, bro, I ain't got the money, just leave it like it is. I ain't got to run my sprinklers right now, that's fine. Whenever I get the money, I'll pay you, I'll call you back. Never call him back. I went from having 14 zones working to having one working when he left. Then he says he don't know how to deal with the electrical part. But you knew that was what was wrong. That was one of the things that was wrong with my sprinkler in the first place. Now all of a sudden you don't know anything about electrical. So I messed around and spent a few $100s, gave him a few $100s for some crappy ass work. I'm sorry. Had to call them folk. So I asked I asked a Hispanic guy first, and he was like, nah, he didn't know how to do electrical stuff. He said it from the jump. He didn't know how to do electrical stuff. Okay. Now he can run a sprinkler through my yard if I needed one. Reroute it, all that kind of stuff, but the valves and stuff and all electrical stuff, he said he didn't know nothing about that. So I ended up calling them folk. The man, as they used to call it back in the day. He comes over here, looks at it. I tell him what the problem is. Has it fixed in a day. everything running good, everything fixed. What it seemed like, you know. Well, actually, I had him fixing the zones, get the zones running. He even told me, hey, you need to buy another box. Get you another box. And look, I'm going to show you how to wire it up. Showed me how to wire it up from my old box, my own panel, sprinkler panel in the garage. Ordered one, got it in, put it in myself. Cool. Kept his number. A couple years later, had a leak out there too, another leak in the same spot. Man come out here and was like, man, did you have somebody fix your sprinkler? I said, yeah, you did. He said, no, he's talking about like this part. He said, I didn't do this. He said, because it was another part. And it was like, well, whoever did it, they sealed this stuff wrong. And so I can't unscrew it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have to replace it. Because I was just going to unscrew it from one end, but then I'm going to have to replace it. So they did that. They got the sprinklers and everything running, you know, and it's like, you know, it's just a jacked up job. And then they say, then whoever did it put these bricks on the here. Because I remember when the brother asked me, could he use some of my bricks for my sprinkler system so he can like level it out. I'm like, yeah, go ahead. What do what you got to do? Because they had like a stack of bricks in the backyard. But they said, yeah, he put the bricks under here, and this is, you know, I don't know why, this is like a shoddy job. But that mess cost me, I'm gonna say over $2,000 to fix, because I hired somebody who was not qualified for the job. Now I got an old homeboy back in the day, speaking of brothers, I went to school with in high school. When he got out of high school, a few years after high school, he started cleaning carpets for one of these like Dalworth companies. Then shout out to Tyrone Brown. I forgot his carpet company name because I ain't used it in years, for years. But he started doing like side jobs, getting little contracts like little hotel, little motels and stuff like that, doing side jobs while still working for Dalworth. Stacked his money, stacked his clientele, started his own carpet cleaning business. Had to restart from the bottom. Now years later, he got a successful carpet cleaning business. But he put in the work, got the letters and the numbers behind his name, and that's what I said. I don't care who I hire from now on. I need to get somebody. If they ain't got numbers and letters behind their names, I mean, if they ain't licensed to come fix something, I'm not gonna let them do it, because and if it costs me more, it's gonna cost me more. Then hey, peace of mind is worth a whole lot. Then you get somebody to fix something and they're not ready for it. You trying to do a deed, try to do a favor for a brother, one of us, and they ain't ready for it. And everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Everybody wants to work on their own, work for themselves. But if you ain't got the skills, now don't get me wrong, you got brothers out there. I don't know now about the youngsters, but man, you got cats out there that can redo a whole house. Been doing it for years because they got the talent. But then with that one, for every one of those you got like 100 or 1,000 brothers trying to do the same thing who don't have that skill. And then they mess over you, do a terrible job, still get your money, and then leave your job half-ass done. Then they get mad when you give them a bad review or you don't refer them to nobody. And like, oh man, you know, we all just trying to make it. I know, dude, but you gonna have to do better. You know what I'm saying? You gonna have to do better. It's like in the nursing that I'm doing, in the field of I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like special training you have to do this. Can't nobody just come off the street and just, you know what I'm saying, and do what I do. I'll be damned. You can't. Now you can train people to do what I do at the house, you know, so they can do it at home. But ain't nobody finna come into no clinical setting and make that, you know what I'm saying, and do that and try to and make that money. It just ain't gonna happen. So I understand what Tyler Perry is saying. I get it. And then yes, once you train somebody, and that's just the nature of the beast when it comes to work. You train somebody, get them in, they get in there for like good 2 years, learn the ropes, learn the business, get their feet on them, get good at it. They're gonna go somewhere else because they're trying to maximize their dollars. That's just how the game goes. That's how everybody does it in any field. If you're smart, when you're young, you're not gonna keep a job for a long time unless you got like a career somewhere in a government job. Then it'd be good to stay there because you can retire and get those benefits. But other than that, in the beginning, shoot, man, like I said, you trying to get all the money you can, because if you stay in the job, they're only gonna give you like a 3% raise. But if you can go from job to job, especially if you got a skill that is in high demand, you can demand like a couple dollars here, a couple dollars there, go to the next one, a few dollars there, next one, like pay $6 more. And then you max out, and then you stay at that place, and then you may go back to the places you originally was, because that's where you were most happy anyway. So, like I say, that's just nature of the beast. I understand what Tyler Perry is saying. I just didn't like where he said it. Yeah, where he said it at, because it's like, dang, dude, you can't put us out there like that. Or, you know what I'm saying? Because now it's like, because it's what they do. They put their people in positions that they're not ready for and give them a chance. And there's nothing wrong with that if the person you put in that position is ready to learn that position. Because most of y'all, they got to train you anyway. So if they're ready to learn in that position, then it's all good. But if you got somebody who's lazy, don't like to work, didn't like school, but you give them a job somewhere where somebody has to be trained, and, you know, stuff like that, that's not good, man. That's not good. But anyway, tell me what you think. Leave your comment below, and then share it with the world. And until next time, I'll leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.